Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm gonna be talking to you about how to buy a fix and flip property. So if you guys are new to this channel, I'm gonna be giving you guys all of the breakdowns on how to get started investing in real estate. So let's get into it. So some of the main bullet points that I'm gonna talk about in this video with you is how to get the right funding for these fix and flips, how to network with the contractors and make sure that you're hiring the right person for the job, how to go find these off-market deals and on-market properties, and then how to manage the jobs after you've acquired this property, and then most importantly, how to disposition this property and get it sold. So let's talk about funding your deals. I think this is by far one of the most important things when it comes down to real estate and something that a lot of people don't like to talk about. So I'm gonna talk with you guys about the difference between hard money lenders, private lenders, and how you can start getting some funds for these deals. So what is a hard money lender? A hard money lender is essentially a company that lends out fix and flip loans, right? So what they're typically gonna do is they're gonna have an LTV ratio. And if you're just getting started, usually that looks like about 80% of what they're gonna loan on, right? So if the purchase price of the house for easy numbers is $100,000, they're gonna give you $80,000 and then you're gonna have to come up with $20,000 to come up with the difference, right? And where do you come up with this money? That's where then either private investors or your own funds can get into these types of deals, right? So what is now a private investor, right? So a private investor is basically someone who's looking to get into real estate but doesn't have the time capacity, maybe doesn't have the knowledge yet to use their funds inside a real estate deal. So they're looking for someone like yourself who has experience or who is looking to get into this game. And there's a couple ways that you can structure private lending agreements. You can either do what I got started with was with splitting equity out of the deal, right? So if they gave me the money for the deal, I'd split the profits with them, right? Sounds pretty fair. And also it reduces my risk of having then another interest payment, which is the second option, right? So the other thing that you could do is you could just create an interest, right? An annual interest rate that you're gonna pay this private investor for that $20,000 that they're gonna give you, right? So that could be anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12%, depending on whatever you're willing to offer, right? So if I go out there and I can go make some money, right, on this deal, I go find a good deal, which we're gonna talk about, you can use a hard money lender and then also a private lender to get into these fix and flips with none of your own money, which is one of the best things that real estate has an advantage over other investment strategies because you have to use your own cash. And I just shared with you guys a way that you can do it without any of your own money if you can pair up those, right? So where do you go find these private investors? Typically, these are people that have high income producing jobs, right? They typically have a very busy schedule. They know how to make a lot of money, but they don't necessarily know where to put that money always, and they're maybe looking to diversify some of their options. So what I always love to do is when someone's heavily invested into the stock market, basically talk with them about leveraging some of that stock market portfolio and diversifying it into real estate, right? And giving them either that interest or that equity split that I talked about. So those are some ways to go find those individuals, go out and network with them. These are people that honestly are your average day people, right? So you're not looking for, some guy that's like Jeff Bezos level wealthy, or even a guy that has $10 million plus. This could be someone who's maybe making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year that is just looking to make some extra money somewhere else passively. So that's what you're gonna wanna do to get the right funding for your deal. Now let's talk about finding the contractors. This is super important, especially if you guys are just getting started, because this is probably one of the biggest downfalls that most investors have, is that they don't know how to hire the right contractors. And this is where it could really make or break your investment that you're fixing and flipping. So one of the things that I tell everyone to do is reach out to their sphere of influence and see who else is working on projects, right? And you'd be surprised how many people that you know that are in your network that are general contractors or trades that people could help you out with, right? From painting walls to putting in windows to putting in floors, baseboards, doors, putting in cabinets, countertops, anything that has to be done inside of a property like plumbing, electric, roofing. People out there already that are inside of your network, right? Not all the time are they gonna be the best people for your project, right? So that's where you wanna reach out and you wanna talk with more contractors, more people that are in the trades, and see who's serious and who is also using other people, because some of your best referrals are gonna come from either other investors or people that have used contractors quite often, right? So what I would do is I would go on my Facebook or my Instagram and I would post out on my Facebook and I go, hey, I'm looking for a couple more contractors. This is exactly what I did. and I would just start getting a list of people. And if I wasn't had a big network, like you moved somewhere, let's say you moved across the United States to some other random city and you had no connections out there, start posting in Facebook groups and get connected with people that way, right? So start basically getting some referrals in, and then start asking them about their previous jobs. Ask them, how much money did it take you to do this? Can I see some photos of the before and after? Can you start showing me any of your projects that you have? Can I maybe meet you at one of the projects, right? So this is a person that is going to be a critical team member in the success of your fix and flip or the downfall of your fix and flip. So don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. I have a whole other video about what to say to these contractors and how you can hire the right one to speed up the process. So let's go into finding the deal now. All right, guys, so finding the right deal is super important because at the end of the day, it depends on the deal. Because if you go buy a crappy fix and flip and you have no idea what you're doing, it doesn't matter how good of a contractor you have or how much money you have, you're gonna lose money. So finding a good deal is super important. So I wanna talk about some of the ways that you can use on-market strategies and also off-market strategies to find these motivated sellers and to get a deal at a wholesale price, right? So what does a wholesale price look like? Depends on the state to state, because some states you're gonna have to pay a little bit more because there's a lot of competition versus other states where there's not a lot of growth, and you're gonna have to pay maybe a little bit less to make sure that you're gonna get your return on investment. So most investors are usually looking for about a 25 to a 30% return. This is kind of standard nationwide. And after I've been talking with so many investors about this, that's kind of what their cash on cash return is. So if you are looking at a deal, right, and let's say you have to put 20% down and you also have to put down your rehab budget. So let's just say you have to put $100,000 into the deal. You're gonna want to profit anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000. Obviously, if you find a good deal that you're profiting more than that and you're getting like a 40% or a 50% return, do the deal. If you find a deal that you're going in there and you're doing all of the same work and you're only gonna maybe profit 10%, right? It might not be worth getting that deal. So make sure that you're underwriting these deals, running the numbers on them, and figuring out what's a good deal versus a bad deal. And the way to do this is by talking with more agents when you're looking on the on-market side. So you want to connect with more people in the industry that are around real estate, right? The more people you start talking with, the better off you're gonna be to find that right property. If you want to go more off-market strategies, the way to go about that is using stuff like Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, having a website presence, doing text message marketing, and there's a lot more that you can do, like direct mail and some old school stuff like doing cold calls or even door knocking, right? So those are all ways to find off-market properties. I have another video that talks about all of that so you guys can get started finding these properties. So let's go ahead and talking about managing the deal and how important it is once you've acquired the right deal. What are the next steps to getting started? All right, so you found the right deal, you raised the funds, you have the contractors in there. Now you're managing this project actively. So how often should you be stopping by the project? How often should you be asking the questions? How often should you be paying your contractors to make sure that this project gets done on the time frame that it wants? I remember when I was doing my first one, I really didn't understand the time frame of what it took to actually get a project to the finish line and what I needed to do to make sure that my contractor was moving forward in the right way, so that way we hit our deadline of when we wanted to throw this property on the market and obviously sell it to make a profit. So what I want to give you guys is some tips on how to manage some properties and the things that are going to make and break your management process. And this is probably one of the biggest learning lessons that I ever did in my whole entire life, is do not pay a contractor before they start work. If they need some money to get the materials or whatever they need to do, go ahead and get the materials for them and tell them that you would buy all of those materials. I lost $15,000 recently on a fix and flip because I paid my contractor up front for the job and he took off and disappeared with that money. I don't want that to happen with you, and I've heard so many other investors have horror stories with that, and it's something that actually happens and it's a real big problem. If you get in that situation, you can actually go to the ROC, the Registered Contractors Association, and basically report that person and really there's not much that happens after that. So if you're in that situation, I'm sorry, it sucks, I've been there, but if you can avoid it, definitely avoid it, right? So what you're typically gonna wanna do is you're gonna want to basically pay them for phases that they do. So your contractor is gonna provide a whole bid of what's gonna basically happen and give you an estimated time frame on when he's gonna complete the project, right? This is something that your contractor is gonna do, or a good contractor. If you're subbing it out, you gotta make sure that you're scheduling all of these things out there. So for people that are just getting started, I highly recommend that you get a contractor to do everything. So that way he's gonna create a whole schedule. So that way if you start hiring out subs in the future, you know what to expect from them. You also know how long it's gonna take and roughly about the money that it's gonna cost to get the deal done. So this is really, really important. So after they finish a line item on their thing, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go inside of that project and you're gonna go walk in and inspect their work, right? Try to look at every little detail to make sure that it was done the right way. If it was done the right way, you're gonna cut them a check right there and pay them for just that line item that they completed. Super, super important that you do this, because then it also motivates them to keep the job moving, because then they'll start finishing more of the job for you, right? Because you never wanna have it happen where you've paid them X amount of money for something and they're really not moving fast at it and all that good stuff, because they already got paid, right? So what's the difference, versus me taking 2 weeks or me taking 4 weeks to do this project if I've already been paid up front, right? So you wanna pay them as they keep on going. Think about it the same way as an employee. An employee would work 2 weeks for you without any pay and then get paid after the 2 weeks. That's pretty standard. So you're gonna do the same thing inside of this process when you're paying your contractors. The next thing is when you're managing it, making sure that they have the materials, because sometimes materials are on back order or they're just out of stock. So sometimes you gotta make sure that you have those materials ordered beforehand so they're not just sitting on the job, or they put your job at a complete standstill, which obviously is gonna eat at your holding costs. So you gotta make sure that the job is moving forward and hold your contractors to the timeline. Obviously things happen, things are out of our control from time to time. And if that happens, obviously have a conversation, see what the best course of action is and how you guys can get back on track, or what else they could be doing to get back on track too as well. So that's a couple tips that I've learned from managing some jobs. So let's go into then the dispositions on selling this property now. So you've gotten this far and now it's time to sell this property, which is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, right? So what you're gonna be doing is you gotta find a great real estate agent that's gonna hustle for you to get this property sold, right? So if you're a real estate agent yourself, obviously you can list your own listing and put that on the market, right? And that's something that you could save some additional costs with doing it, but it's not necessarily needed if you're doing it. Like myself, I'm not a real estate agent, so I go out and I go hire some amazing experts and some people around me that can help to sell this house. And some of the things that you want to look for when you are getting an agent to list your property is, what are they going to take for commission? What are they thinking that you could sell the property for? Are they pulling comps for you, right? And these are all things that you should be doing yourself too as well, to make sure that you're actually getting a good deal. But you also want to make sure that you're selling for the price that's going to make sense for a profit, right? So if you maybe spent a little bit more on the rehab budget, maybe try to pad that into your price to compensate for that, to hit that 25 to 30% profit margin that I was talking about with your cash on cash return. So when this all comes into it, you want someone that's going to be hosting open houses for you, that is going to be doing marketing material to find the buyer for this property, right? And obviously it's great to be on the MLS, but that's not going to make or break the decision of finding that buyer, right? You have to be proactive, and if you can find some really good proactive agents, not only are you gonna go get more buyers to come and go see this property that you just renovated, but you're also gonna get some amazing opportunities to possibly buy some of the neighbors' houses for cash. So what I always like to do is talk with my agents who are listing the house, talk with them while they're hosting the open house, or talk with them while they're doing some marketing material, and let them know if they find me a deal, they can get compensated for that too as well. And that way it creates a win-win for them and me, and then they'll get the listing once I fix and flip it too. So there's some really great ways that you can start leveraging some people inside of this business to obviously have it work for you, right? That's the goal of being an investor, is having things work for you instead of always having to work for them. Not to say it's gonna be easy and it's just gonna be a walk in the park, but if you do this right, it's gonna be a very impactful business that you can start having a ton of people inside of it to help you out to reach your goals, but also help them to reach their goals as well. So guys, that's the process on how to buy a fix and flip. And if you guys are new to my channel, make sure you guys subscribe and check me out on some other social media platforms. It's super important that you follow the process of getting the funding for it, interviewing the contractors, making sure that you find the right deal, and then managing it the right way, because obviously there's a lot of things that are going on inside this project. And then lastly, selling it at the right price and having the right team of real estate agents to list your property. So if you guys like this video, make sure to drop a thumbs up and leave any comments in the comment section below. I'd love to answer those comments, either reply back to you guys or even make a video replying to your comments. So that way you guys can give me some more ideas on what you're struggling with and how I can help you out in this investing journey. My name is Kyle Allen, and I'll see you guys in the next video.